What is good, Spuds? This is your man Jesse Whitedeer, and you are listening to another episode of the Needless Potatoes podcast. How's everybody doing? How's your Friday going? Hopefully everyone's doing good. Shout outs to everybody out there in quarantine, essential workers, and otherwise. Thank you so much for joining me. My guest today is the talented, the infamous, the always entertaining Sissy Brown of Lawton, Oklahoma, everybody. Round of applause. And me and Sissy sit down and we talk about her music, her genre of music, how she got started, shows, social media, and why she stopped drinking. So, a little bit of everything for everyone, I guess. But once again, thank you so much for joining me. You can find Sissy Brown everywhere on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the great stuff. And I'll post links in the comments as always. And as always, shout outs to my main man, Nate Turner, over there at A-N Suge Forge, ANSUZ. And he's available on Facebook and Instagram. He's our sponsor this week once again. And shout outs to him. Shout outs to all of you. Thank you for joining me. And this is Sissy Brown, everybody. Thanks. We'll see you next time. And hey, maybe even the time after that. Well, hello, everybody. Happy Friday. How's everybody doing out there? This is your host, your main man, the great, I guess, me, Jesse White here of the Needless Potatoes podcast. My guest today is the talented, the notorious, the always entertaining Sissy Brown. Everybody,
Hey,
hey,
how you guys doing?
they're doing good. They're hopefully driving to work or staying at home or staring at their pets or a number of different things.
Just not out licking each other's faces, hopefully.
Yeah.
No matter what our governor says, do not go out and lick people's faces. It's not safe.
Yeah. There you go. Unless you get consent, if people consent to being licked, then yeah, dude. As long as everyone is of age and it's consensual, then hey, man. No, just kidding. But anyways,
Soon. I have the right. I consented. I want it. Give me the virus.
well, that's almost like that. What was it? That Dr. Death guy in like the 90s. Kevorkian. Yeah, Dr. Kevorkian. Yeah, just assisted suicide. That's interesting. But
He paved the way. It's
on.
legal in some states.
What
Oregon.
was that?
I said he paved the way. It's legal now in Oregon.
Well, all right. That's interesting. Well, all of my grandparents were thankfully. Well, all of my grandparents were thankfully, they're not thankfully, but they're in a better place. So God bless all. But
Yeah,
moving on. Uh, you are a musician. Is that correct? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I am.
Well, all right. Well, can you kind of get into how you first started playing music, or where you got your start from?
Yeah, I'm from a whole family of musicians. So my grandpa, my uncles, they're all players. So it was just sort of always around. And my mom didn't want me to be like a dirty bar musician. And so I did classical music as a kid. I took classical piano lessons and singing lessons. I sang classical music up until like college age, went to Europe to sing. And then I ended up wanting to sing country music in dirty bars.
Okay. Why country music?
It's just what feels right. I was in some rockabilly bands and some kind of bad bad punk bands when I was a kid, and that was really fun. But this is more reflective of my songwriting style and the kind of life that I live.
Okay. So, what was your mom just concerned that if you're playing in these dingy bars or these dirty bars, something would happen to you, or it would lead to something, or kind of did she ever explain why?
No, none of that. I mean, we're a pretty wild bunch, my family, so I saw plenty. I think that was kind of a given. But I
Okay.
think she just wanted something better for me. You always want something better for your kids. So she didn't want me being, you know, out in the bars and having this lifestyle,
Okay.
which is fair.
But
That's fair.
right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that I'm not musically inclined, but I feel like hopefully my mom would say something to that don't play bars and so on and so forth. So I don't know, but so you started playing country music, and you said that you started in classical music probably when you were younger. When did you make the transition from classical music to punk, or not? Well, I guess yeah, punk
Yeah,
rockabilly.
sort of both. Well, I was supposed to go to college. I had a couple of full ride scholarships to go and get an opera performance degree. And I had already gone to Europe and had sang classical music, and so there was sort of a line in the sand there. You can go to college and devote yourself to this, or you can drop out immediately and go move to Los Angeles and just be a degenerate. And I chose move to Los Angeles and be a degenerate. And
Okay. Well,
that was the end of that dream.
oh, I gotcha. Okay. So, what were those first years like going to Los Angeles to play music?
um, Weird and great. I had stopped off when I was like 19, 18, 19. I moved to Spokane, Washington first, and I was in some bands up there. And then broke off, moved to LA, and the career just didn't happen, obviously, because I was a 19-year-old weirdo and I wasn't that good and I didn't know what I was doing. So mostly I just had fun, and the music part came together much later, but there were some good adventures anyways before the music came together.
I got you. Always a good time. It sounds like. What were some of the first? Do you remember some of the first shows you played with some of these bands?
Oh yeah. Well, we played when I was living in Washington. We played at a place called the Boulevard, and they had to sneak me in. And we were opening for a band called the Goddamn Gallows, which they're pretty big now. And then I moved to LA and I played at the Viper Room and all those little places that are sort of legendary for people getting started.
Okay, very cool. So, what were these first bands called? Do you remember the names?
Oh yeah. So the band in Spokane, Washington, we were called the Chart Toppin' Hits, which I still think is like one of the most hilarious band names ever.
All right.
The Chart Toppin' Hits. And then it was sort of just me, a couple different versions of my name when I was living in Los Angeles. And then later on when I lived in Austin, I was in like the best worst band ever. And um, the band was called G.G. Allen Co. And we did G.G. Allen songs in the style of David Allen Co. and David Allen Co. songs in the style of G.G. Allen,
Oh, okay. Very cool.
which I want to bring that back. So I don't want anyone to steal it. I'm going to do another another G.G. Allen Co. someday. Because, I mean, had we not been such assholes who were terrible at music, it would have been awesome.
That definitely sounds like a an interesting idea. Now you're doing yeah, you're doing G.G. Allen songs to the tune of David Allen Cole. That's okay. That's pretty interesting. Well,
Beautiful.
so yeah, it's a really neat idea. So nobody out there steal it. It's all Sissy Brown's idea.
It's
So,
true.
yeah. But so you, and then at that point, was like is it fair to say your style of music that you play now is like outlaw country, or is that kind of fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's where it sort of falls. I tend to think that I play just more of like Oklahoma red dirt country, but I my show is a lot of joking around, and I've got a really foul mouth, and I talk a lot about all of the mistakes that I made, all the times I went to jail, all the stupid things I did when I'm on stage and in my songs. So it does tend to turn more rowdy than your standard red dirt.
I got you. Okay, so then from how did we get from like punk and rockabilly to Oklahoma red dirt outlaw country?
It's weird that they're both sort of they're both sort of just a part of who I am. My family loves country music. They're all country musicians. That's what I was raised on. When I was like 8, the first music that I ever bought with my own money was a used cassette tape of Coal Miner's Daughter, Loretta Lynn, at Hastings for like 50 cents. So the love for
Okay.
country music was always there, and the punk just happened later. I was, going to high school and being a weirdo, and it molded a lot of my style, my musical style, and my just style of living. But I think they can both work together. And there's a lot of great cowpunk bands out there that were doing really cool stuff before I even thought that I would be a professional musician. So they kind of paved a good way.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot like and I hope you don't take this as like a insult, but your music very much reminds me of like Hank Williams three. So
Yeah.
much that like yeah, like outlaw country, but then he's also in like Ass Jack and some of these punk bands. Which I'm not a fan of his punk bands honestly, but
Yeah.
yeah, I love his outlaw country stuff. With the oh man, I spacing on the name. Straight to Hell, I think, is one of my
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
albums of his. No, and then like because he very much started kind of in that traditional country style, and then of course found the outlaw country style a little bit later on. And when I was always in like punk bands and and all this great stuff. So no, like it's anytime I hear your music, it's always that's what it brings up. Now
And there's some other
you go ahead.
really there's some other really cool ones, sort of on the lesser known side. Like one of my favorite punk bands was a band called Dark Buster when I was really young. They're a Boston punk band, and their singer is Lenny Lashley, and he put out one of the best like country cowpunk records ever. And the band is called Lenny and the Piss Poor Boys. Awesome record, like solid pedal steel, great songs, but they're all punk songs, but they're country.
Mhm.
And it's really, really interesting to listen to. And other bands like Drag the River, guys were doing that style of music a long time ago. Well, I mean, they're still pretty young, but a long time ago to me before I started playing.
Right. Okay. And then, so what was some of the other bands that you were listening to, besides the ones that you just listed, that kind of helped you find your outlaw country style?
Yeah, well, I always did like, the regular outlaw country guys, but on the more modern, like that fusion element, I used to love Devil Makes Three when I was young, like in my very early 20s, my late teens. Devil Makes Three was super, super cool. And there was a lot of bands that were doing that style of country music that was really attractive to punk rockers. So they're pretty cool ones to look up to. Devil Makes Three. I cover one of their songs sometimes still.
And where are they from?
I think they're from Santa Cruz, California. And they play a
Okay.
really
So,
interesting,
and then Devil Makes Three.
yeah, they play a really interesting style of music. And
Okay.
those guys I mentioned a second ago, Drag the River, super, super
Mhm.
cool, amazing music. Um, yeah, they put out some really, really killer records. And the two guys that are that are Drag the River, Chad Price and John Snodgrass both have really amazing solo albums too.
And I think another kind of local band that fits in that genre is a band you might know is Podunk Parliament from around the Denton, Dallas area.
That is a great name, but no, I haven't heard of them, but I should look them up.
Oh, okay, yeah, it is man, I can't remember his last name, Dalton, and then there was Jacob Moore, and then they're also in a band called Shooting Czars with a really good friend of mine, yeah, Randall Day. So definitely shout outs to those guys. But yeah, they do a little outlaw country kind of rockabilly type of band called Podunk Parliament. So
nice.
Yeah, so definitely check those guys out. And you're also a fan of the great Selena.
Oh man, yeah, Selena is everything to me.
Right. And did you now is it did you discover her through that movie starring Jennifer Lopez, or had you heard of her before that?
I had heard of her before. So when she was killed, I was living in Dallas. I was living in Grand Prairie. And a lot of my little kindergarten friends were into her. And then I moved back to Oklahoma, and my best friend was like a huge Selena fan. She was from Albuquerque and very into Selena. So, you know, when you're that age, whatever your friend is into, if they're really into it, like that's what you're going to be die hard about. So, like, my love for Selena started early. She's my favorite. Well, and I love Tejano music in
No,
general.
she's excellent. I think. What are some other artists from that genre?
Oh man, I have no idea. So my Spanish speaking is barely functional, but my car radio, if it's on just the radio, is going to be on some Tejano station. I don't know any of the songs. I just like how it sounds.
Okay. No, that's fine. I mean, that's fair to say that you're being honest. That no, I remember watching that movie when I was younger. I think that movie came out in 97, 98.
Yeah,
But yeah, so and I remember watching that movie and then thinking like, of course, when you're younger, you don't quite understand it. But later on, I kind of grew to appreciate her music. I think I have, it looks like March 21st, 1997. I was 7. But I very much remember my sisters watching that movie, and that song "Dreaming of You" always stuck with me from that point. And actually, it's funny because in like junior, we slow danced to that song at like a school dance.
oh man, that's such a good one.
So
She had a lot
no,
of really good, really good songs about young love. Even in like her Spanish speaking records, Amor Prohibido, like forbidden love, you know, when your parents tell you you can't be together, but you have that young love feeling that you'll never get when you grow up. Like the people that you were so in love with when you were like 15, you'll never feel that overwhelming love again. It's just like some dude you thought was cute in math class, but you could like really fall in love. She did a lot of songs about that.
Oh yeah, very much. Like I remember fondly. It was in the Pickett Center, which is where I went to junior high, and we were in the gymnasium, and I think we were having like a Christmas dance or something, and we were slow dancing to that song, and I can't, man, it sounds bad, but I can't remember who I was slow dancing with, but that song came on. Yeah, and then I'll think of it in a second, but and then I remembered that. So when, yeah, so when I was like 13, 14, I was slow dancing, and then I was thinking to myself like, man, this is the pinnacle.
That's much more romantic than like the memory that I have. When I was like 15, I was at the Eisenhower High School homecoming, and I danced with this boy that I had a huge crush on from church. His name's Taylor Desjardins. And we were dancing to that song, The Reason by Hoobastank. That's
Okay.
burned in my brain now. It's a real cute memory of just Hoobastank blaring in the background.
Right.
2004 was a hard year.
Right. So some rough living in 2004. No, very much. And I can't remember her name. It's like right there. But so we were slow dancing. That song ended. I thought like, okay, well, this is what love is, obviously.
Oh.
But yeah. So and then I don't know. We weren't even dating. We just happened to be dancing together. So I don't even think I was in love with her. But yeah, but no, definitely. Whenever I hear that song, it very much brings me back to that moment where you're not really you really care for somebody, and you're kind of figuring those feelings out as you're starting to date, and it kind
And
of
you're
is
obsessed with them.
absolutely. It's kind of like a screenshot of like a certain point.
Yeah. Be obsessed with them for like absolutely no reason.
Yeah, just because. Yeah, absolutely, because you're trying to figure everything out. Actually, it's funny. There's that. So I love Hall and Oates for the record.
Nice.
Yeah. So me and my buddy DJ Bryant from Oberon, who I talk about. Seems like every episode I talk about Oberon, but they great band, by the way. Check them out on Spotify. But
I will.
yeah, Oberon. So Oberon. Oberon. They're an awesome band. They sing about space and Carl Sagan, all kinds of great stuff. Yeah. So I remembered this was probably let's see, 4 or 5 years ago. So I had gotten me and this girl I was dating at the time. I had like went over there and I was hanging out with her and stuff, and I had like she was at work or whatever, so she asked me if I could like babysit her sons, and I said yeah, sure. I'm trying to be a good boyfriend. I'm trying to be a good guy, so babysit and watch them and stuff. So then I ended up cooking dinner, kind of surprised her with that. She came home, kind of got to hang out and stuff, and all that good romantic stuff in the kitchen and everything. So then, yeah. So then, like a few days after that, is where like we were at work, and she was like, I don't know, I'm just not sure about this. Maybe we need to take some time back. And I was, of course, I was upset, but then I was thinking, like, okay, well, maybe I'll give her a few days. We'll talk about it. Okay, so like a few days later, she messaged it, sends me a message on Facebook, and basically, just kind of in a very polite and adult way, breaks up with me through Messenger on Facebook, which is
no.
yeah. So which is fine. She's great. She's in a happy relationship. Yeah. That. But no, she's excellent. But so then I was like, okay. In my mind, I was like, well, let's talk about this. Let me at least try to figure this out. So she says, okay. So this is like 5 days later from when I made her kids dinner and everything seemed like it was going good. So I go over there, we're hanging out and stuff, and then and of course she lets me down very gently. So then I'm like, okay, all right, well, I guess I'll go and like go home now and be sad.
Have a cry.
So then yeah. Well, no, not have cried. Just be bummed out, I guess. But so at that time, I was driving this piece of shit Ford Taurus. So yeah. So I was going to leave her house, and then like, what's that?
I had one of those.
Yeah. Well, I had two, and they both.
Ford Taurus wagon.
Mine was, I think, 2004, and then I got in a car wreck with that one. And then I went back to the same place I got it and was like, hey, I know I wrecked your car, but how about you let me buy another one? Yeah, not a lot of good financial decisions back then. But so then I got a newer 2006 version. Anyways, so that's the one that broke down, was the 2006 version. So it broke down in front of her house? Right in front of her house after she broke up with me. So.
Oh my God, there's nothing more embarrassing than being brokenhearted and also poor.
Yeah, very, very, very true. I hadn't looked at it that way, but yeah. So, yeah. So then all that happened, and then I had to call my friend, and they gave me a ride home, and of course I was bummed out or whatever. So then later on, a few days later, I go and get my car, and I get it towed or whatever, and then like as I'm getting it towed, she had been sewing a patch onto the back of a vest that I had. So she was sewing. I had this rest in peace Jeff Henneman shirt that I cut up, and yeah, and then she sewed the patch onto the back of one of my vests. So she did that. So I went to go pick her up because she was like, "Hey, at least let me do this for you. I broke your heart, all that stuff. So let me at least do this for you." I was like, "Okay, fine." So then,
Let me sew your shit.
well, no, she was she was nice. She was very sweet about it.
But like all that weird breakup stuff, I'm just so fascinated because I do that same dumb shit. Like, oh, sorry, let me do this for you.
Right. So I go to pick it up, and then like as I'm walking out, and I'm borrowing my friend's car at the time. I'm going to walk out, and some dude is pulling up. I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, well, you already moved on to some other dude. So then I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I go, I leave, and like as I'm driving home, I'm feeling like, man, I'm just feeling like crap. And then it's very funny because I'm like driving home, and then he had a CD in his car, and Out of Touch came on, and it was like, so I pull up to the stop sign, and then that part, the chorus comes on where it's like, "You're out of touch, I'm out of time, but I can't get you out of my mind." And, yeah, and then I was just like, "Why would you do this to me, Hall & Oates?"
You ruined my Hall & Oates.
No, that's a great song, by the way. So
a lot of really big Hall & Oates fans don't know about this. So now I have to ask you, if you're a big Hall & Oates fan, have you read the Henry and Glenn Forever comic books?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. So there's several of them, and they're by this group. The artists are called Igloo Tornado. Mm-hmm. And it's a comic book about Henry Rollins and Glenn Danzig, and they're gay together. Oh. They're a gay couple. And they live in Glenn Danzig's house just outside of Culver City in Los Angeles. And their neighbors are Hall & Oates, and Hall & Oates are Satanists.
Okay. That's awesome.
Are amazing. They're so good.
I'm looking it up right now. It's very
you have to go on Amazon and get them. They're cheap. They're so funny. And even better is like if you were ever into punk, the reactions were exactly what you thought they'd be. So when an interviewer asked Henry Rollins, like, what do you think about it? He was like, oh yeah, that's that comic book. Me and Henry are boyfriends. That's funny. Like he was pretty cool about it. Mm-hmm. Glenn Danzig, however, was like, we're not fucking gay. I'm suing. Don't ever ask me about this shit again. He's so bad. And I think one of the funniest parts of the comic book is how true it is. Like, so my stutter is acting up. Okay, so my best friend when I lived in Los Angeles, her mom lived right down the street from Glenn Danzig's house. Mm-hmm. And it's in the comic book because Glenn Danzig keeps getting all of these fines from the city because he has this big giant pile of bricks in his front yard for no reason, and he won't move them, and he won't like comply with the city, like, yo, you're not doing remodeling, these bricks have been here since like 2009, get the fucking bricks out of here, it's a nice neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And Glenn like won't do it. He has a black Jaguar that's always like on blocks underneath a tarp, and it's like a total hideous eyesore. And all of that shit is in the comic book, and it made him so mad.
That's pretty excellent. It's very funny.
Yeah, you gotta buy the comic books. They're so hilarious.
I'll definitely have to check them out. I got a little bit of I'm getting a bonus from work, so I could definitely check those out. Yeah. So,
So you're an essential worker. I forgot what you do.
yeah. Well, I won't say the name of the company, but
No.
because I don't know if they pay for advertisement. But yeah, I work in like a factory type job, so that allows. Yeah, so it's very cool. It's a very cool place to work. I got to listen to podcasts and my music all day, and it's very excellent. I make a joke, but it's when I was doing stand up, I had this shitty joke in my routine, but so basically I work with all women, but I don't have a girlfriend. So instead of disappointing one woman every day, I get to disappoint multiple.
Good. So. I'm sure they like that. You need that.
Yeah, they don't like it when I show up late and stuff. But yeah, but anyways, moving on.
I am not an essential worker. I know that.
Right. Yeah. What are you? Are you doing any of the like live shows or live music or anything like that online right now?
No. So I did one live stream and I made like $15, so that was really awesome. But I fucking suck at live streaming. I'm awful at it. I'm old. I don't know. But my live show was really, really, really dependent on the crowd interacting. I talk to people a lot. There's a lot of crowd interaction. And I find it really hard to transfer that into live stream. So I always just get uncomfortable and like I don't know what to play. And then I'm just like pissed off. So then I'm like, all right, thanks for watching. Gotta go. And then I get the fuck out of there. Mm-hmm. It's just, and I need to get better. I said that I was gonna do a live stream this upcoming week because I bought a kiddie pool and I'm gonna get in my swimsuit. I'm gonna get in the kiddie pool and I'm gonna sing karaoke songs from my pool. So I'm excited about that.
But that's all right. Well, that'd be cool. I think people might tune in for different reasons, but that'd be interesting.
I'm gonna sing Celine Dion for like an hour.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So unapologetically, and I'm gonna do the whole impersonation of Celine Dion, so it's gonna be really obnoxious.
Is there if you don't do My Heart Will Go On to the tune of Gigi Allen, then I might be disappointed.
Dude, I wonder if I can. It's been so long since I've even heard My Heart Will Go On. I wonder if I can do it. Just like just the thought of it is making me get the church giggles. Hold on.
You're fine. No, but it's funny because I have very much a love for Hank Senior and like Hank 3, and a lot of like David Allan Cole and Henry George Lachlan or Hank Lachlan, sorry, Hank Lachlan, and yeah, so a lot of those older artists, and then of course Dolly Parton, but there's very much a part of me that loves like '90s pop country. So like Brooks and Dunn, yeah, Toby Keith, Celine Dion, Sheryl Crow, yeah. So and it's I don't know. So anytime like and then what was that? What was her name that sung Redneck Woman? Was it Gretchen? Yeah, Gretchen. Yeah. So.
And she had some other really hilarious songs. She did this honestly is pretty bad, but do it with Merle Haggard. That was pretty interesting. And her record, like I think the same record that had Redneck Woman on it, had a song called Home Wrecker. and a song called California Girls on there that are just gold. They're just golden.
Awesome.
And that big ballad that's good and not in a funny way, but like I think the song's called When I Think About Cheating. It's this big ballad and it's really beautiful.
No, that's so she's excellent. I think Sheryl Crow is excellent. There was this kind of running joke that I had at an old job where anytime we would go to a show or whatever, me and a few of my buddies would just, so no matter what show it was, so it'd be like a heavy metal show. So the guy would end and he would be like, all right, motherfuckers, we're about to open this pit up. So he's like, I want to see you fucking kill somebody. And then right before they go into the song, me and my buddy would yell, like Sheryl Crow is the GOAT, or like rest in peace Sheryl Crow. Yeah, so whatever it had to do was like Sheryl Crow, or like play some Sheryl Crow, and then like, and we did that one time at the 89th Street in Oklahoma City. Yeah. And when some hardcore bands were up there, and I forgot who it was because I really can't remember their name. But the guy got like just super mad, and he was just like, "Shut the fuck up about that, okay?" And then it offended him personally because we're just fucking around, but we're like, play some Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, shut the fuck up!" And then he was like, "This was for everybody but those guys." And then he just goes into like whatever. Yeah, and he like it, dude. Awesome. It was fucking yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think it was. My favorite mistake. That's what it was. I couldn't think of the song, but yeah, they're like, yeah, play My Favorite Mistake, and he was like, shut the fuck up about that, okay? But it was weird because he was like, he had like tough guy metal vocalists, and he was like, whatever, and then he like broke character to tell us to shut the fuck up, and then he was like, this song's forever. Yeah. Stop talking about Sheryl Crow. No, but I'm sure she's a fine lady. Yeah, no, she's excellent. But you, going back to you, you have some of the best merch out there, I think.
Thank you. Well, my merch is always interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually, kind of shameless plug, but I'm actually wearing your shirt right now for this interview.
Oh yeah, which one?
The Dead Country. It's got the goat head, and then
with the little flowers, I think.
No, it's the goat head, and then there's the skull on top of it.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. So, what did for some of the people that don't know, what kind of inspired a lot of these designs? Because you'll have like a white trash witch and things like that.
Yeah. So all of my merch is usually, I want them to be like black metal T-shirts, but for my country band, and they're just the weirdest shit. Either they're like black metal T-shirts, or they're just like the stupidest shit you can imagine. So, and I very rarely do more than one run of the same merch design. So it kind of encourages people to like every time they see me, they can get a different one. Mm-hmm. But over the years, I've had so much hilarious shit. And right now, I guess it's a good time to plug this. So the company that prints my merch, the T-shirt shop, is called New Republic. And they're in Birmingham, Alabama. And he's offering for some of his clients no contact direct shipping from the facility. So I made these 3 new T-shirts, or 2 really new T-shirts, and I have a link for them. The link is on my personal Facebook and my band page, the Sissy Brown Band Facebook, and also on Instagram. And it's $25, and these new T-shirts are getting direct, no contact shipped safely from the printing press, and that's super, super cool. Way safer for people that have COVID-19 concerns, as we all should. And I'm obsessed with them. It's a possum, like a possum's face with a pentagram on its forehead. And it says my name at the top, Sissy Brown. And then underneath it, it says, "You're all fucking trash." And then that same shirt, and then it just says, "You're all trash," if you don't want to have the F-bomb on you, but don't mind having a pentagram on you. And then there's a new a brand new Dead Country design that's a cactus and a skull.
Awesome, very cool. So definitely everybody out there, check out Sissy Brown's merch on her Facebook page because if you guys got a little bit of that Trump money left over,
Yeah.
definitely pop over. And how much are they on your Facebook?
They're $25, and that includes shipping.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a link because all the orders are going, like, they're being processed directly through the New Republic printing.
Mhm.
But there's a link, you just click on it and you can go see them, and it would be really helpful to me. I'm I'm happy that I'm able to be home with my family right now and safe, so I'm not complaining. However, I only had 2 or 3 shows in March before everything got shut down, and I haven't made money since then. And I don't know when live music is going to be a thing again. So things like selling these T-shirts and, well, not things like, basically selling my T-shirts is what's keeping the lights on over here at the Possum Shack.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that's a reality for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been really weird waiting because the CARE Act said that I qualify. I'm self-employed. I have already filed my 2019 taxes, so I should be getting $600 a week at minimum. I still haven't received any of that. Also, I don't know if it's because I'm self-employed or what, but when I go to look up my stimulus, it says payment status not available. So I haven't gotten either one of those things, and I'm just sort of waiting.
Okay. So, yeah. So, but you were saying that some of the best ways to support you is to pick up some T-shirts because you're not playing shows right now. Um,
Yeah, I'm I played like 2 or 3 shows in March, and then we're here, it's all been canceled. And I think I'm not trying to get in a political debate with anyone. Just for me personally, I don't want people at my shows to possibly get infected. So I'm happy to be home right now, but I haven't been approved yet for the CARE Act funds. So the CARE Act said that self-employed people and gig workers are going to be approved for at least $600 a week. I haven't been approved for that yet. I also have not received a stimulus, and I don't know if I'm going to. It just says payment status not available. So I'm just sort of in a holding pattern right now, and I'd appreciate any T-shirt orders that I got.
yeah, absolutely. And what are some other ways people can support you if they're besides buying the T-shirts?
Well, I have the best Cash App name in the history of Cash App. It's just $ possum bitch.
Okay.
And there's no O, so it's $ POSSUMBITCH possum bitch.
Okay, so $ possum bitch on Cash App. So if anybody
Yeah.
wants to, throw you some money, and they can buy a T-shirt. So
My teacher.
so
And I
our
also have my Venmo is Okie Lady Booking. Okie, like Oklahoma, OKIE. And then PayPal is Miss Sissy Brown at Gmail. And that's Miss Sissy Brown at gmail.com.
very cool. So those are some other great ways to support you other than buying the T-shirt. Now, kind of transitioning
Yeah.
on your music. Do you have anything recorded like on Spotify or Bandcamp?
I do, yeah. At sissybrown.bandcamp.com. There's a whole record up there. I know that on May 1st they were waiving fees to the artists, because on Bandcamp the artists only make about half of the money they get from the sale. But that's just sort of the price of doing business. But they're waiving those fees, hopefully for a little while. And the record is, I never really pursued the record. I didn't order CDs. I didn't order vinyl on it. I didn't really do a release or tell people that they should buy it. It was the record that I could afford to make at the time. And I'm not totally in love with how it sounds, but there are some really good songs on there that I don't play live. So can kind of hear some other stuff from me that's not going to get airtime at a live show.
So some deep cuts. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then and people also. Do you have any videos or anything on YouTube?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube. I did have way more stuff on there, but then I realized that people were actually watching the videos, and I was like, oh shit. I gotta stop uploading like random bullshit. So I privated a bunch of like the bad videos of like half done songs and like shit where I was fucking up, Because used to I would just start writing a song and then I would put a video up so that I like wouldn't forget it and I could work on it some more. And yeah, then I realized they were like getting views. So I was like, oh shit, you sound like hot garbage juice. Take those bitches down. So I did that. So now there's a smaller catalog, but less embarrassing catalog on YouTube.
Oh, very cool. So people can check you out on your Bandcamp or on the YouTube, and they're able to kind of listen to some of your music that way.
Yeah.
Now, what is usually your inspiration for music? Yeah, I know that you said earlier it's kind of about the way you grew up or your life in general. What are some more inspirations for you?
Most of my songs are about dating bum ass dudes. I'm really good at that.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well,
like I'm about to start, I'm about to start making a new record, and it's gonna have some like top notch bad relationship songs on it. I think that's what most of my material is. Like the songs that I write are a lot about the female perspective of like trying to save a dude that like has done nothing to earn being saved.
right. Somebody that's not really you're putting a lot of energy into somebody that's not redeemable, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're toast.
Well, I got you. Okay. Well, yeah, no, definitely. I think that could be with anybody, whether it's
Yeah,
romantic or platonic. Yeah.
it's
Oh yeah,
relatable.
absolutely.
A lot of people put too much energy into people that don't deserve it at all. And I recently, well, not recently, 100 and I don't know, 47 days ago, maybe 100, somewhere around 150 days ago, I got sober. And I never had a huge drinking problem, but I did drink to excess. Like I didn't know when to stop when I started drinking, And
Hmm.
I had a lot of relationships with people in my life that was like, why the fuck are you here? It's toxic. And those relationships were people that just wanted to party. And through getting sober, I've been able to see like just how many dead weight friendships I've been carrying around, people that I don't even like and that don't deserve the time of day from me for sure, but from a lot of other people too. So that's been really nice
Hmm.
and opening and very freeing. And don't deal with that shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and I had stopped drinking myself probably about 3 years ago, and I think once you completely stop, at least for me, once I completely stopped and just kind of took a step back and really kind of analyzed everything, I realized
a lot of it was on my end. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't like the person who I was, and I was hanging out with a lot of just people that really have my best interest in heart. So yeah, so it's always so you just move on. That's all you can really do. At least for me, it's but yeah, it it's very interesting. Once you kind of hit those lows or something traumatic happens, you see what kind of people stick around and what kind of people because there'd be people that would be mad at me that I didn't want to drink or party anymore, and then
Yeah.
so yeah, it's always a red flag, I feel like.
I've had several people that are sort of shitty about it. And like, I just I don't understand that kind of logic because like I don't give a fuck what other people do as long as it's not affecting me. But people
Mhm.
that are really into drinking get really offended when you're like, "Oh no, I'm not drinking anymore. It's not for me." And I think also because I wasn't the stereotypical like alcoholic. I didn't drink in the daytime. I didn't drink all the time. But if I started drinking whiskey specifically, I didn't know when to stop and I was a fucking monster. I was an idiot. And I don't want to be that girl anymore. So I for sure am going to do a year sober. After that, I don't know. I don't know. Someday I might drink beer again because I never had a real problem with that. Like I could socially handle that.
Mhm.
But I think maybe even beer, I might just not want to deal with it entirely and just be sober forever. That's just the new me, the new situation.
No, I got you there. I always go back in my head. I'm like, man, it'd be kind of cool, or maybe I could, you know, have a few beers, kind of hang out. But then there's always that part of me that clicks in my head that's like, nah, I'd
Yeah.
rather not. Yeah, it's funny because I think once you realize how much of once I realized how much of a jerk I was
Yeah.
whenever I was drinking and how problematic I was and how toxic I was, it kind of made me appreciate the people that stuck around, the people that were trying to help me. So, yeah, and then all those people that didn't, it's kind of good riddance. You move on, kind of cut that dead
Yeah.
weight.
Well, that's the thing. I don't ever want to be in a not consensual relationship. So if you don't want to hang out with a sober me, that's totally fine. Well within your
Mm.
rights and good luck to you. Maybe we'll meet
Oh
on
yeah,
an
absolutely.
plane.
Yeah, very true. So, no, absolutely. It's I think once you, because I would hear people say like, man, you did this last night, or you said this, or
Oh,
and I would just yeah. So I would always have to go on these like apology tours where I'd be like, oh man, I text my buddies, hey, I didn't mean to say that. Oh hey, I didn't mean to react that way, and it's kind of like in a bad relationship after you
yeah.
hear that so many times. People just they stop fucking with you after a while. So if they're
Yeah,
smart.
I never want to do that again. Ever. And most people have like the luxury of blacking out. I never had that. So I would wake up the next morning and remember every weird thing I did. Like, fuck, why am I like this? And,
Oh, for
so
sure.
you just cringe yourself to sleep for the next 6 months because you did something stupid.
Oh yeah, you said you did something stupid. You said something stupid, or you just kind of were stupid. So no,
Yeah.
not
And
not fun for anybody.
luckily, that was like not a super common occurrence for me. But a couple times a year, I would just be fucking monster. And then I just feel horrible about it. And it's like super embarrassing. And even it affects relationships, even if like the person that I was a monster around, even if they don't care for me, I'm like, that relationship has changed because now I'm embarrassed.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Well,
Oh
there's
for
only one
sure.
person.
Like
There's only one person that's true. I don't want to give the wrong impression. There's one person that I feel that way about, and she is a very nice person. I don't want anyone else that I've like disconnected with recently to be like, I bet she's talking about me and she's embarrassed. Not you, motherfucker. I'm glad you guys are all gone.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's always because I tell this story. Well, it's kind of funny. Real quick, kind of while we're wrapping up here. So I had this friend, and her and I, well, we would hang out and we'd, and everything, and kind of like a friends with benefits type of thing.
Nice.
So, and yeah, yeah, right. But I didn't know it at the time, but secretly, I think I very much cared for her. Like, I think I liked her more than she liked me. One of those
Yeah.
situations. Yeah. And of course, when you're drinking, that definitely doesn't help. So that probably added some problems there. But in my head, I would always say like she got a boyfriend and everything, and moved on. But in my head, I would always say like, okay, well, she's gonna break up with that dude, or something's gonna happen. So
Yeah.
obviously, we're gonna get it back together. We're gonna get together. We're gonna have a relationship. We're gonna transition from the friends with benefits to a meaningful relationship. Blah blah blah. So that never would happen, and then I would always put off relationships, or, anyways. So ending is and I was really just a jerk and toxic and just did a lot of stupid stuff. And she managed to stay my friend, and very much if she had just cut and
Aw.
run, I totally would have understood. Yeah, so she was very sweet. But recently, we made plans to hang out at the beginning of the year. So I went up and I met her. We're hanging out and stuff, and she had separated from her boyfriend, and she was in a new relationship, and she was very happy with that. And I remember us talking in this restaurant, and it just like finally clicked on my head that like, okay, like, I'm finally okay with myself, and I'm okay with this situation. And it clicked, and you know it was a moment of clarity. So
Yeah.
now I'll never question myself again. I'll never wonder. I'll never wonder what could have been. I'll never wonder how it should have worked out. And I think, had her and I got together, and this is not on her, it's on me, 100%. But I think if we had got back together, if we had got together and transitioned to a relationship, I never would have been able to stop drinking, fix those problems, fix those insecurities I found in myself. So it was, in a weird way, she really helped me out a lot. So it's very weird because she probably never thinks about, she might think about that night, but I think about it in regards that really helped me. And
Yeah.
it's very cool. And so I felt like, what's that movie? Stella got her groove back. I very much
Yeah.
felt like that. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about all of those weird experiences that were so bad in the moment. You really kind of need those to get to the healthy part. And I talk about
Mhm.
this shit all the time. So there's a like Peanuts, Charlie Brown and his friends.
Mhm.
There's one of the comic strips where I don't know if it's Linus or Charlie, but one of them is really sad. And then they start talking about like how bad it is to be sad. And then the one that's upset says, "Well, I think it's wonderful that I'm so sad because if I can feel this sad, that means that someday I'll feel just as much happiness." You can't, like, life is about highs and lows. You can't have the super happy best times ever without the super sad.
Very true. Absolutely. No, and I very much credit a lot of my really good friends for helping me, sticking with me and helping me out through all those bad times, and my parents as well. They're both great. So, no, it's
Yeah,
very cool. It's kind of it sucks to go through all that, but you very much realize who has your best interest at heart, and that's very rewarding. Um,
for
no, I'm
sure.
very fortunate. Yeah. So, but anyways, kind of wrapping up here though. Um,
Yeah.
what's some advice that you would give somebody coming up?
A musician?
Yeah, musician.
Oh man. Um, yeah, find your own sound. just because you like a certain musician doesn't mean you need to be them. I try to limit how much music I intake because I don't want to become another musician. And I think a lot of times we can just melt right into our favorite band and become a sad, weird ripoff of them. So I would say find your own sound and be brave with it, and don't fucking apologize, and don't let anybody fucking hurt your feelings. Because people hate the shit out of me. Just as many people that love me and love my music, they hate the shit out of me. But that's fine. You're not going to be everybody's flavor. I'm not everybody's flavor. You're not everybody's flavor. And I don't like every musician that I hear. So you can't expect everyone to like you, and that's okay.
Awesome. Very, very cool. So everybody out there listening, take heed Sissy Brown's word and be who you are. Be who you're supposed to be. No, very cool. And just real quick,
part of the gig.
well, it's always weird that like those people that will just yell at like random artists or people that are doing their job. It's very weird because I was looking at this this venue and people would come up to me and they would say things like, "Hey, can they turn the music down?" Or like, "When are they going to be finished?" You know, me and my friends are trying to talk. Yeah, so we won't say that place just because they've always been nice to me. But some of their customers are idiots. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, those people would say like, not you particularly, but those people would say like, "Hey, you know, me and my friends are trying to hang out." Well, it's like, you know that music's here the same day a week, every week. It has been for the last years.
In front of a speaker.
Yeah, so it's like, and you know, music's from 9 to 12. So you could always come early or go somewhere else or come on a Saturday when there's no band. And then you can, you know, talk to your buddies or, I don't know, text them, do something, else.
Go sit in the other part of this area. Like, why are you right in front of the speaker you saw when you sat down? Go back there. Fuck off.
Or go inside and you know where you can't hear the music. And then talk to your goofy buddies there. So yeah, very true. Yeah. But I really do appreciate you sitting down and talking with me. I know it took a little bit. Unfortunately, you were in the middle of a tornado the first time we tried to do this. So
Oklahoma.
yeah, that's Oklahoma for you. But yeah, no, it's so great that you were able to sit down and talk with me. And once again, go ahead and plug your stuff real quick, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, Sissy Brown, SISSYBROWN, and you can plug that in anywhere. You'll find me. Instagram, the gal from Oklahoma, Facebook, my personal and music pages, Bandcamp, Cash App, $ Possum Bitch, and all the other ones that I mentioned earlier. Oh yeah, and
very cool.
The t-shirt links on my pages, Instagram or Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a link there, and you can follow that and go grab you You're All Fucking Trash t-shirt.
There you go. And so yeah, so everyone out there, pick up the t-shirts, like Sissy Brown on Facebook, follow her on the Instagram, go check out her website, buy a t-shirt. Buy a t-shirt for you and your partner, or for your family, or for your mom or your dad. Mother's Day is coming up. Yeah, Mother's Day is coming up. So buy a t-shirt for your mom. Yeah, but no, it's very cool of you to sit down and join me. Once again, you can find this podcast everywhere but Apple, just because, you know, as I always say, they don't answer my emails, but that's okay. Yeah, but you can follow us on Spotify, Google Podcast, YouTube, Podcast Addict, Breaker, Overcast, Stitcher, and give us a like and subscribe, and leave us a review of something you didn't like. And yeah, and follow us on. Yeah, there you go. And follow us on Instagram, or like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, and we do this every week. So I appreciate everybody, sticking with me. But Brown, it's been very cool talking to you.
You.
And everybody, everyone out there, have a good one. Happy Friday, everybody, and we'll see you next time, and the time after that. Bye bye.